Beijing and blame game. It is not only an alliteration, but also a synonym. I'll give you some examples. Wuhan virus pandemic, Beijing blames it on the West. Also blames India and Australia. Hong Kong protests, Beijing blames the West. Trade war, Beijing blames the West. Ladakh standoff, Beijing blames India. Rising cases of eating disorder, Beijing blames the world. Unbelievable but true. China is battling rising cases of eating disorders. The problem affects less than 3% of China's population, but there has been a dramatic rise in hospitalizations. I'll give you an example. In 2002, the Shanghai Mental Health Center had 8 visits related to eating disorder. In 2019, 2,700, a jump of over 300%. Now, most of these cases had to do with patients eating too little. In China, there's a growing obsession with looking pale and thin. People are skipping meals, going on diets, developing bulimia, anorexia. And while eating disorders may not be deadly, they do lead to serious health problems like depression, anxiety, problems with growth, rise in suicidal thoughts. So when rising cases of eating disorders came to light, experts in China began blaming other countries. They said eating disorder is a foreign phenomenon. The obsession with thinness or unnatural standards of beauty. Again, a foreign phenomenon, says China. Now, I'm not a fan of alternate history, but I am a reader of history, and Chinese history talks about something called foot binding, a custom where a girl's feet would be bound with strips of cloth at the age of 5. It would remain like that till she turned 8. The binding would deter normal growth of the feet, give it a pronounced arch. The process would be very painful. Girls would lose 1 or more toes. Some would develop infections, even gangrene. Why then were they forced to undergo this ordeal? Because men were apparently attracted to small feet. The smaller the feet, the more attractive they were believed to be. A foot smaller than 4 inches was also a sign of social status, an emblem of elegance. This was not foreign influence, this was all Chinese. Women were also forced to change the way they walked. Small, light steps were considered ideal, ladylike. Why am I telling you these stories? To make a simple point, the obsession with perfection, unnatural perfection, is not imported. It is very much a part of Chinese culture, and it dates back to the Tang dynasty. Earlier, smaller feet was perfection. Now, size 0 is perfection. In fact, it has been that way for some time now. A 20-year-old Chinese college student suffering from eating disorder says that she feels ugly. She's felt ugly since she was a kid.
我从小就一直觉得我是一个很丑的人。
I had always thought I was an ugly girl since I was a kid, and thought that people only like white and thin girls, and nobody would like girls like me. But after experiencing it, I realized that it's not only white and pretty girls that people love.
我才会认识到，原来并不是只有又白又好看的女孩子才会有人爱的。
Data from 2016 shows that even 5 years back, the weight loss market in China generated $1.37 billion in revenue. Meal replacement slimming accounted for more than 16% of this amount. Slimming teas, more than 65%. Weight loss supplements, almost 11%. Body challenges on Chinese social media include fitting behind a piece of paper, wearing a t-shirt meant for babies, holding eggs on your collarbones, wrapping your own hand around your stomach, showing off wrists that are just 4 centimeters thick. Or this, the so-called bendy pose. Experts say complimenting a woman on her skin or pointing out that she has put on weight is part of Chinese culture. Chinese psychiatrists point out its social involution, which is intense social competition. They say in China, thinness is no longer just about beauty. It's not just a beauty marker. It is also a sign of self-discipline, a sign of success and social class. How has any of this got to do with foreign influence? While extreme weight loss had become a fad around the world, the trend right now is body positivity and inclusivity. But China, we know, has installed a firewall online. It also blocks messages of inclusivity. At home, there is zero awareness, no recognition of eating disorders or availability of treatment for the longest time. China had just 2 special centers in the entire country for eating disorders. The third one was opened as recently as 2016. Even today, women in China are not comfortable to approach a doctor. I want you to listen to a 23-year-old woman who has recently recovered from an eating disorder. Listen to what she says.
I felt I could not walk by myself. My legs and feet didn't have any strength. My body couldn't function very well, and I couldn't even see very clearly. My hair was very fluffy and I hardly had any hair left. I knew that I was seriously unwell, but I didn't dare to go to the doctor.
Zhang later told a media agency that in China, even if you go to a counselor and confide in her about your eating disorder, the expert will not know how to help you. This is yet another example of China failing to control a health problem at home while lying to the world about it. Worse still, blaming the world for it. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.